In a serene forest campground, a group of loud and unruly bikers arrived, shattering the peace and tranquility that the other campers had been enjoying. Among the campers was a quiet, unassuming man who kept to himself, seemingly unbothered by the bikers' presence. Little did the bikers know that this man was a highly decorated soldier on leave, seeking solace in the wilderness to cope with his past experiences in combat. He had come to the campground to find peace and quiet, hoping to escape the memories that haunted him. As the bikers settled into their campsite, they began to harass and intimidate the other campers. They stole food and supplies, and their loud, obnoxious behavior made it impossible for anyone to relax. The soldier watched from a distance, his eyes narrowing as he observed their antics. The bikers, feeling emboldened by their numbers and the fear they instilled in the other campers, set their sights on the soldier. They saw him as an easy target, a lone wolf who would be no match for their strength and bravado. The soldier, however, had no intention of backing down. He calmly approached the bikers, his voice steady and firm as he warned them to leave the campground and the other campers alone. The bikers laughed in his face, mocking his warning and dismissing him as just another weakling. But the soldier stood his ground, unfazed by their taunts. He knew that he had the skills and training to take on these bullies, and he wasn't about to let them continue their reign of terror. As the bikers' actions became more aggressive, they made the mistake of physically confronting the soldier. They pushed him around, attempting to steal his belongings and assert their dominance. That's when the soldier decided he had enough. With lightning-fast reflexes and precision, the soldier unleashed his extensive hand-to-hand combat training on the bikers. He easily dodged their clumsy attacks and delivered swift, powerful blows that left them battered and bruised. The bikers, stunned by the soldier's skill and strength, quickly realized they had underestimated him. Beaten and humiliated, the bikers retreated to their campsite to regroup and plan their revenge. They couldn't believe that one man had managed to take them all on and win. Their pride wounded, they decided to return with weapons and teach the soldier a lesson he would never forget. But the soldier was prepared. As the bikers approached, brandishing knives and clubs, he easily disarmed them using his military training. He moved with a fluid grace, his body a weapon in itself, as he neutralized each threat with precision and skill. With the bikers lying on the ground, groaning in pain, the soldier stood over them, his eyes blazing with a quiet fury. He delivered a stern lecture about respect and the consequences of their actions, making it clear that their behavior would not be tolerated. The bikers, their egos shattered and their bodies bruised, had no choice but to surrender. They apologized to the soldier and the other campers, their voices trembling with fear and shame. They quickly packed up their belongings and left the campground, their tails tucked between their legs. As the sound of the bikers' motorcycles faded into the distance, a sense of peace and calm returned to the campground. The other campers emerged from their tents and RVs, applauding the soldier for his bravery and thanking him for standing up to the bullies. The soldier, ever humble, simply nodded in acknowledgement and returned to his solitary campsite. He had no need for praise or accolades. He had simply done what he believed was right. As he sat by the campfire that night, staring into the flickering flames, he knew that he had made a difference, and that was all that mattered. In the days that followed, the story of the soldier's bravery spread throughout the campground and beyond. It became a testament to the power of standing up for what is right, even in the face of intimidation and fear. And for the soldier, it was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter tomorrow. Days turned into weeks, and the soldier continued his peaceful stay at the forest campground. The incident with the bikers had become a distant memory, and the other campers had returned to their normal routines, enjoying the serenity of the wilderness. However, unbeknownst to the soldier and the other campers, the bikers had not forgotten their humiliating defeat. They had retreated to their hometown, nursing their wounds and plotting their revenge. The leader of the gang, a brutish man named Razor, had taken the soldiers' actions as a personal insult. Razor gathered his gang, a motley crew of tough, seasoned bikers, and revealed his plan for vengeance. They would return to the campground, but this time they would come prepared. They spent weeks training, honing their fighting skills and gathering weapons. They were determined to make the soldier pay for his interference. As the summer drew to a close, the bikers made their move. They roared into the campground, their motorcycles kicking up dust and debris, shattering the peaceful atmosphere. The campers, recognizing the bikers from before, quickly retreated to the safety of their tents and RVs. The soldier, who had been out for a hike, heard the commotion and rushed back to the campground. He saw the bikers armed and ready for a fight and knew that he had to act fast to protect the innocent campers. Razor stepped forward, his eyes blazing with hatred. He challenged the soldier to a one-on-one fight, a battle to the death. The soldier, knowing that he had no choice but to accept, squared his shoulders and prepared for the fight of his life. The two men circled each other, their eyes locked in a fierce stare. Razor made the first move, lunging at the soldier with a vicious right hook. But the soldier was too quick, dodging the blow and countering with a swift kick to Razor's midsection. The fight was brutal, with both men trading blows and grappling in the dirt. The soldier's military training gave him an edge, but Razor's brute strength and determination made him a formidable opponent. The other bikers watched from the sidelines, their eyes wide with anticipation. As the battle raged on, the soldier began to tire. He had been out of combat for months, and his muscles screamed with exhaustion. Razor, sensing his opponent's weakness, redoubled his efforts, raining down blows on the soldier's body. But the soldier refused to give up. He thought of the innocent campers, the families and children who had come to the campground seeking peace and relaxation. He couldn't let them down, couldn't let the bikers win. With a burst of adrenaline, the soldier launched a final desperate attack. He feinted left, then delivered a crushing right hook to Razor's jaw. The biker's eyes rolled back in his head, and he crumpled to the ground, unconscious. The other bikers, seeing their leader fall, quickly lost their nerve. They dropped their weapons and fled, their motorcycles roaring into the distance. The soldier, bruised and bloody but victorious, stood tall, his chest heaving with exertion. The campers emerged from their hiding spots, cheering and applauding the soldier's bravery. They surrounded him, offering their thanks and gratitude. The soldier, humble as ever, simply smiled and shook their hands. In the days that followed, the authorities arrived to take the bikers into custody. Razor and his gang were charged with multiple crimes, and the campground returned to its peaceful, idyllic state. The soldier, his mission complete, packed up his belongings and prepared to leave. As he walked to his car, the campers lined up to say their goodbyes, each one thanking him for his courage and selflessness. As he drove away, the soldier knew that he had made a difference. He had stood up for what was right, had protected the innocent and brought justice to the guilty. And though he would never seek recognition for his actions, he knew that he had left a lasting impact on the lives of those he had touched. The story of the soldier and the bikers became a legend in the campground, passed down from one generation of campers to the next. It served as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there are those who will stand up for what is right, who will fight for justice and protect the innocent. And for the soldier, that was the greatest reward of all. Months passed, and the soldier found himself back in the city, trying to adjust to civilian life. The memories of his time at the campground and his confrontation with the bikers lingered in his mind. He often found himself thinking about the peaceful surroundings and the sense of purpose he had felt while protecting the innocent campers. One day, as he was going about his daily routine, the soldier received a phone call from the campground owner. The owner, a friendly old man named Jack, had a proposition for him. Jack had been impressed by the soldier's bravery and selflessness, and he wanted to offer him a job as the campground's new security manager. The soldier, intrigued by the offer, decided to visit the campground to discuss the details with Jack. As he drove up the familiar winding road, he felt a sense of nostalgia wash over him. The campground looked just as he remembered it, with its lush green trees and serene lake. Jack greeted the soldier warmly, shaking his hand and inviting him into his office. Over a cup of coffee, Jack explained that the campground had been experiencing some problems since the soldier's last visit. There had been reports of vandalism, theft, and even some minor instances of violence. Jack believed that the soldier's presence could help deter these incidents and maintain the peaceful atmosphere of the campground. The soldier, after carefully considering the offer, decided to accept the job. He moved into a small cabin on the campground grounds and began his new role as the security manager. He patrolled the area regularly, keeping a watchful eye out for any signs of trouble. At first, the campground was quiet, and the soldier's job seemed easy. But as the summer season picked up, the number of visitors increased, and with it, the potential for problems. The soldier found himself dealing with rowdy teenagers, drunk campers, and even a few minor altercations. But the soldier handled each situation with the same calm, professional demeanor he had shown during his confrontation with the bikers. He quickly gained a reputation among the campers as a fair but firm enforcer of the rules, someone who could be relied upon to keep the peace. As the summer wore on, the soldier began to notice a particular group of campers who seemed to be causing more trouble than the others. They were a gang of young men, rough around the edges and with a penchant for mischief. The soldier kept a close eye on them, sensing that they could be a potential source of problems. One night, the soldier's instincts proved to be correct. He heard a commotion coming from the direction of the lake and rushed to investigate. There, he found the gang of young men, drunk and disorderly, harassing a group of female campers. The soldier immediately intervened, placing himself between the gang and the frightened women. He ordered the men to back off, his voice stern and authoritative. But the gang, emboldened by alcohol and their own sense of entitlement, refused to listen. The situation quickly escalated, with the gang members becoming increasingly aggressive. They surrounded the soldier, taunting him and making threats, but the soldier remained calm, his eyes scanning the group, assessing the threat level. Suddenly, one of the men lunged at the soldier, throwing a wild punch. The soldier reacted instantly, sidestepping the blow and delivering a swift, precise strike to the man's solar plexus. The man crumpled to the ground, gasping for air. The rest of the gang, seeing their friend go down, hesitated. The soldier took advantage of their momentary confusion, his voice booming out across the lake. He ordered them to disperse, warning them that he would not hesitate to use force if necessary. The gang, realizing that they were outmatched, quickly backed off. They helped their fallen friend to his feet and slunk away into the darkness, their tails between their legs. The soldier turned to the female campers, ensuring that they were unharmed. They thanked him profusely, their voices trembling with relief and gratitude. The soldier simply nodded, telling them that it was his job to keep them safe. Word of the soldier's actions spread quickly throughout the campground, and he once again found himself the subject of praise and admiration. The campers felt safer knowing that he was there, watching over them. As the summer drew to a close, Jack approached the soldier once again. He offered him a permanent position at the campground, a chance to make a difference in the lives of the campers year-round. The soldier, feeling a sense of belonging and purpose that he had never experienced before, accepted the offer without hesitation. And so, the soldier found his new calling, his new mission in life. He had traded the battlefields of war for the peaceful surroundings of the campground, but his commitment to protecting the innocent remained unchanged. He knew that he had found his place in the world, and he was determined to make the most of it, one day at a time. As the soldier settled into his new role as the permanent security manager of the campground, he found himself facing a new set of challenges. The summer season had ended, and with it, the steady stream of campers that had kept the grounds busy. Now, as the leaves began to turn and the air grew crisp, the campground took on a different character. The soldier, used to the constant activity and bustle of the summer months, found the quieter atmosphere both peaceful and unsettling. He continued his patrols, walking the well-worn paths through the woods and around the lake, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. One evening, as he was completing his rounds, the soldier heard a strange noise coming from a remote corner of the campground. It sounded like a muffled cry, a plea for help. The soldier, his senses on high alert, quickly made his way towards the sound. As he approached the area, he saw a flicker of movement in the shadows. He called out, identifying himself as the campground security, but there was no response. The soldier, his hand resting on the handle of his trusty knife, advanced cautiously. Suddenly, a figure burst out of the bushes, startling the soldier. It was a young girl, no more than 12 years old, her face streaked with tears and her clothing torn. She stumbled towards the soldier, her voice trembling as she pleaded for help. The soldier, his heart racing, quickly assessed the situation. He knew that he needed to get the girl to safety, to find out what had happened to her. He gently took her hand and led her back to his cabin, speaking softly and reassuringly to her as they walked. Once inside, the soldier sat the girl down and wrapped a warm blanket around her shoulders. He asked her what had happened, his voice calm and soothing. The girl, between sobs, told him that she had been camping with her family when a group of men had attacked them. Her parents had told her to run, to hide in the woods until help arrived. The soldier, his mind racing, knew that he had to act fast. He radioed Jack, the campground owner, and informed him of the situation. Jack, his voice tight with concern, told the soldier that he would call the authorities and send them to the campground immediately. The soldier, not wanting to leave the girl alone, stayed with her in the cabin, offering her words of comfort and reassurance. He promised her that he would find her parents, that everything would be okay. When the authorities arrived, the soldier provided them with all the information he had gathered from the girl. He led them to the area where the family had been camping, his eyes scanning the ground for any signs of a struggle. As they searched the area, the soldier's keen senses picked up on something that the others had missed. He spotted a trail of broken branches and disturbed earth leading away from the campsite and into the woods. The soldier, his instincts telling him that this was the key to finding the girl's parents, led the way. The trail led them deep into the heart of the woods, far from the well-trodden paths of the campground. The soldier, his senses on high alert, moved cautiously, his hand never leaving the handle of his knife. Suddenly, they heard a shout, a cry of pain coming from up ahead. The soldier, his adrenaline pumping, rushed forward, the authorities closed behind him. They burst into a small clearing and saw a group of men, the same ones who had attacked the girl's family, surrounding two figures on the ground. The soldier, his voice booming out across the clearing, ordered the men to step away from the victims. The men, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of the authorities, hesitated for a moment before dropping their weapons and raising their hands in surrender. The soldier, his heart pounding, rushed to the side of the two figures on the ground. It was the girl's parents, battered and bruised but alive. The soldier, his voice choked with emotion, radioed for medical assistance and stayed with the couple until help arrived. In the aftermath of the incident, the soldier was hailed as a hero. The girl and her parents credited him with saving their lives, and the authorities commended him for his bravery and quick thinking. But the soldier, ever humble, simply shook his head and said that he was just doing his job. He knew that he had found his calling, his true purpose in life. He had sworn to protect the innocent, to stand up for what was right, and he knew that he would continue to do so, no matter the cost. As the campground returned to its peaceful routine, the soldier knew that he had found a new family, a new home. And he knew that he would always be there, watching over them, keeping them safe from harm. The incident with the girl and her family had left a lasting impact on the soldier. He realized that his role as the campground's security manager was more than just a job. It was a responsibility to ensure the safety and well-being of every person who set foot on the grounds. As the days turned into weeks, the soldier found himself becoming more and more involved in the daily life of the campground. He started to organize activities for the campers, from nature hikes to campfire sing-alongs. He wanted to create a sense of community, a feeling of belonging for everyone who visited. One day, as the soldier was leading a group of campers on a trail through the woods, he heard a loud rustling in the bushes nearby. He immediately went on high alert, his hand instinctively reaching for his knife. But as he peered into the foliage, he saw something that made his heart skip a beat. There, lying on the ground, was a small injured fox. The animal was clearly in pain, its leg twisted at an unnatural angle. The soldier, his compassion overriding his caution, slowly approached the fox, speaking softly and reassuringly. To his surprise, the fox didn't try to run away. Instead, it looked up at the soldier with wide, pleading eyes, as if asking for help. The soldier, his heart melting, carefully scooped up the fox and carried it back to his cabin. Over the next few days, the soldier nursed the fox back to health. He set its broken leg, fed it warm broth, and kept it comfortable in a soft bed of blankets. The fox, grateful for the soldier's care, started to follow him around the campground, hobbling along on its still healing leg. The campers, charmed by the sight of the soldier and his new companion, started to call the fox Buddy. They would bring it treats and pet its soft fur, marveling at the bond that had formed between the two unlikely friends. As the summer drew to a close, the soldier knew that it was time for Buddy to return to the wild. He had healed well, and the soldier knew that he belonged in the forest, not in a cabin. With heavy heart, the soldier led Buddy to the edge of the woods and watched as he disappeared into the trees, his bushy tail swishing behind him. But the soldier's connection to the wildlife of the campground didn't end with Buddy. As he continued his patrols, he started to notice the other animals that called the area home. He saw the graceful deer that grazed by the lake, the playful otters that splashed in the streams, and the majestic eagles that soared overhead. The soldier started to keep a journal, documenting the different species he encountered and their behaviors. He would share his observations with the campers, teaching them about the delicate balance of the ecosystem and the importance of preserving it. As the years passed, the soldier became more than just a security manager. He was a teacher, a mentor, and a friend to all who visited the campground. He organized nature walks and birdwatching expeditions, sharing his knowledge and his love of the outdoors with anyone who was interested. And through it all, the soldier never forgot his original mission: to protect the innocent and stand up for what was right. He continued to keep a watchful eye on the campground, always ready to spring into action if needed. But the soldier knew that his true legacy would be the impact he had on the lives of the campers. He had shown them the beauty and wonder of the natural world, had taught them the value of compassion and kindness. He had helped them to see that even in a world that could be harsh and unforgiving, there was still goodness to be found. As the soldier sat by the campfire one evening, surrounded by the laughter and chatter of the campers, he felt a sense of contentment wash over him. He knew that he had found his true calling, his purpose in life, and he knew that he would continue to serve, to protect, and to inspire for as long as he was able. The campground had become more than just a place to him. It was a home, a family, and a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. And the soldier knew that he would always be there, watching over it, guiding it, and loving it until the end of his days. Years turned into decades, and the soldier grew older, his hair turning gray and his face lined with the wisdom of a life well lived. But despite the passage of time, he never lost his passion for the campground and the people who called it their temporary home. One summer, a new group of campers arrived, a diverse mix of families and individuals from all walks of life. Among them was a young boy named Timmy, who seemed to be having a hard time fitting in. He was quiet and withdrawn, always keeping to himself and avoiding the other children. The soldier, his heart going out to the lonely boy, decided to take him under his wing. He started to spend time with Timmy, teaching him about the plants and animals of the forest, showing him the secret spots where the best berries grew and the clearest streams flowed. At first, Timmy was hesitant, unsure of how to respond to the soldier's kindness. But as the days went by, he started to open up, his shy smile becoming more frequent and his laughter ringing out through the trees. The soldier, seeing the change in Timmy, knew that he had made a difference. He had given the boy a sense of belonging, a feeling of acceptance that he had been lacking in his life. As the summer drew to a close, Timmy's parents approached the soldier, tears in their eyes. They thanked him for the impact he had had on their son, for the confidence and joy he had brought into his life. The soldier, his own eyes misty, simply nodded and said that it had been his pleasure. But the soldier's influence didn't stop with Timmy. As the years went by, he continued to touch the lives of countless campers, each one leaving the campground a little bit better than when they had arrived. There was the teenage girl who had been struggling with anxiety, who found solace in the soldier's gentle guidance and the peace of the forest. There was the elderly couple who had been married for 50 years, who rediscovered their love for each other on the trails and by the campfire. And there were the countless children who had grown up visiting the campground, who had learned the values of respect, responsibility, and compassion from the soldier's example. As the soldier grew older, he knew that his time at the campground was drawing to a close. He had given his life to this place, had poured his heart and soul into making it a haven for all who needed it. And so, on a crisp autumn day, the soldier gathered the campers together one last time. He stood before them, his eyes shining with pride and love, and spoke from his heart. He told them that the campground was more than just a place, more than just a collection of trees and trails and cabins. It was a community, a family, bound together by the shared experience of the great outdoors and the simple joys of life. He told them that they were the guardians of this special place, the keepers of its legacy. He urged them to cherish it, to protect it, and to pass it on to the generations to come. And as the soldier spoke, the campers listened, their hearts swelling with emotion and their eyes brimming with tears. They knew that they were part of something greater than themselves, something that would endure long after they were gone. As the sun began to set behind the mountains, the soldier took one last walk through the campground, his steps slow but steady. He breathed in the crisp autumn air, savoring the scent of pine and wood smoke. And as he looked out over the lake, glittering in the fading light, he knew that he had fulfilled his purpose, had lived a life of meaning and significance. The soldier closed his eyes, a smile on his weathered face, and let the peace of the forest wash over him. He had come full circle, had found his place in the world, and had left it a better place than he had found it. And as the night settled over the campground, the soldier knew that his spirit would live on, in the laughter of the children, in the whisper of the wind through the trees, and in the hearts of all those who had been touched by his kindness and his courage. The end. The soldier's passing left a void in the heart of the campground. The campers, young and old, felt the loss deeply, as if a part of their own family had been taken from them. But even in their grief, they knew that the soldier's legacy would live on, that his spirit would continue to guide and inspire them. In the weeks that followed, the campers came together to honor the soldier's memory. They planted a tree in his favorite spot by the lake, a strong and sturdy oak that would stand as a testament to his enduring presence. They gathered around the campfire, sharing stories of the soldier's kindness and wisdom, of the countless lives he had touched and the difference he had made. And as the flames flickered and danced, they knew that the soldier was still with them, watching over them from above. As the seasons changed and the years passed, the campground continued to thrive, drawing new generations of campers who were eager to experience the magic of the great outdoors. And always, the spirit of the soldier was there, guiding them, protecting them, and reminding them of the simple joys of life. One summer, a young woman named Sarah arrived at the campground, her heart heavy with the weight of her troubles. She had lost her job, her relationship had ended, and she felt lost and alone in the world. But as she explored the trails and sat by the lake, she began to feel a sense of peace and clarity that she had never known before. And when she stumbled upon the oak tree that had been planted in the soldier's memory, she felt a connection to something greater than herself. Sarah started to spend more and more time at the campground, volunteering her time and energy to help maintain the grounds and assist the other campers. And as she worked side by side with the people who had known and loved the soldier, she began to feel a sense of belonging, of purpose. One day, as Sarah was walking along the lakeshore, she spotted an old weathered journal lying in the grass. Curious, she picked it up and began to read, her eyes widening as she realized that it was the soldier's own words, written in his careful, steady hand. In the pages of the journal, Sarah found a treasure trove of wisdom and insight, of stories and observations that spoke to the soldier's deep love for the natural world and his unwavering commitment to serving others. She read of the soldier's encounters with the animals of the forest, of his joy in sharing his knowledge with the campers, and of his belief in the power of nature to heal and transform. And as Sarah read, she felt a spark of inspiration ignite within her. She knew that she had found her calling, her purpose in life. She would follow in the soldier's footsteps, would dedicate herself to preserving and protecting the campground and all that it represented. Years later, Sarah had become the new caretaker of the campground, the guardian of its legacy. She had taken the soldier's journal and turned it into a book, sharing his words and his wisdom with the world. And as she sat by the campfire, surrounded by the campers who had become her family, Sarah knew that the soldier's spirit lived on, that his love and his light would continue to guide and inspire them all. For the campground was more than just a place, more than just a collection of trees and trails and cabins. It was a sanctuary, a haven, a reminder of the beauty and the wonder of the natural world. And as the stars shone down upon them, Sarah and the campers knew that they were part of something greater than themselves, something that would endure long after they were gone. They were the keepers of the soldier's legacy, the guardians of his spirit, and they would carry his message of love and service and compassion out into the world, spreading his light wherever they went. For in the end, the soldier's true gift had been the gift of understanding, of knowing that we are all connected, all part of the same great web of life. And in honoring his memory, in carrying on his work, they were honoring the best in themselves and in each other. The campground would always be there, a beacon of hope and healing in a troubled world. And the soldier's spirit would always be there, watching over them, guiding them, and reminding them of the simple truth that love is the greatest force in the universe, the one thing that can never be extinguished. As the years turned into decades, the campground continued to flourish under Sarah's loving care. She had become more than just a caretaker. She was a mentor, a friend, and a source of comfort and guidance to all who sought shelter within the campground's borders. One summer, a young boy named Jack arrived at the campground with his family. Jack was a troubled child, angry and rebellious, prone to lashing out at those around him. His parents, at their wits' end, hoped that the peace and tranquility of the campground would help to soothe their son's troubled soul. At first, Jack resisted the charms of the campground, sulking in his cabin and refusing to participate in the activities that Sarah had planned. But Sarah, with her infinite patience and understanding, refused to give up on the boy. She started to spend time with Jack, talking to him, listening to him, and showing him the wonders of the natural world. And slowly, gradually, Jack began to open up, to let down his guard and allow himself to be touched by the beauty and the majesty of the forest. Under Sarah's guidance, Jack discovered a talent for woodworking, for crafting beautiful and intricate objects from the materials that the forest provided. He started to spend hours in the campground's workshop, lost in the joy of creation, his anger and his pain slowly melting away. As the summer drew to a close, Jack's parents were amazed at the transformation that had taken place in their son. He was calmer, happier, more at peace with himself and the world around him, and they knew that they had Sarah and the campground to thank for this miracle. Years later, Jack had become a master craftsman, renowned for his beautiful and unique creations. And he knew that he owed everything to Sarah and to the campground, to the love and the wisdom that had saved him from himself. He started to visit the campground regularly, to share his skills and his knowledge with the new generation of campers. And as he sat by the campfire, telling stories and laughing with the children, he knew that he was part of something greater than himself, part of a legacy that would endure long after he was gone. For the campground had a way of bringing out the best in people, of revealing the hidden depths of their souls. It was a place of healing and transformation, where the broken could be made whole and the lost could find their way. And at the heart of it all was Sarah, the guardian of the campground spirit. She had grown old and gray, but her eyes still sparkled with the same love and compassion that had drawn so many to her over the years. She knew that her time was drawing to a close, that soon she would join the soldier in the great beyond. But she also knew that the campground would endure, that it would continue to be a beacon of hope and healing in a troubled world. And so, on a crisp autumn day, Sarah gathered the campers together one last time. She stood before them, her voice strong and clear, and spoke from her heart. She told them that the campground was a sacred place, a sanctuary where the human spirit could find solace and strength. She told them that they were the inheritors of this legacy, the keepers of the flame. She urged them to cherish the campground, to protect it and preserve it for the generations to come. And she reminded them that the soldier's spirit lived on in each and every one of them, that his love and his light would always guide them on their way. As the sun began to set behind the mountains, Sarah took one last walk through the campground, her steps slow but steady. She breathed in the crisp autumn air, savoring the scent of pine and wood smoke. And as she looked out over the lake, glittering in the fading light, she knew that her journey was complete, that she had fulfilled her purpose and her destiny. Sarah closed her eyes, a smile on her weathered face, and let the peace of the forest wash over her. And as the night settled over the campground, she knew that she would always be there, watching over it, guiding it, and loving it, just as the soldier had before her. For in the end, the campground was more than just a place. It was a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, to the unbreakable bonds of love and friendship that tie us all together. And as long as there were those who believed in its magic, who cherished its beauty and its wisdom, the campground would endure, a shining beacon of hope and healing in a world that so desperately needed it. Years turned into decades, and the campground remained a constant in a world that was forever changing. The old oak tree that had been planted in the soldier's memory grew tall and strong, its branches reaching out to provide shelter and shade to the countless campers who sought refuge beneath its canopy. The workshop where Jack had discovered his talent for woodworking became a hub of creativity and innovation, a place where young minds could explore and experiment, learning the skills and the crafts that would serve them well in the years to come. And always, the spirit of the soldier and of Sarah watched over the campground, their love and their wisdom guiding the generations that followed in their footsteps. One summer, a young woman named Lily arrived at the campground, her heart heavy with grief and loss. She had recently lost her mother to cancer, and the pain of that loss had left her feeling adrift and alone in the world. But as she walked the trails and sat by the lake, Lily began to feel a sense of peace and connection that she had never known before. She started to spend time with the other campers, sharing stories and laughter around the campfire, and slowly, the weight of her grief began to lift. One day, as Lily was exploring the campground, she stumbled upon a small, hidden grove that she had never seen before. In the center of the grove stood a simple wooden bench, weathered and worn by the passage of time. And as Lily sat down on the bench, She felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of presence, as if someone was there with her, watching over her and guiding her on her way. She closed her eyes and let the feeling wash over her, and in that moment, she knew that she was not alone, that she had never been alone. The spirits of the soldier and of Sarah were with her, and they would always be with her, no matter where her journey might take her. From that day forward, Lily became a regular visitor to the campground, a guardian of its legacy and its wisdom. She started to bring her own children there, sharing with them the stories and the lessons that she had learned, passing on the torch of love and compassion that had been handed down to her. And as the years went by, the campground continued to be a beacon of hope and healing in a world that so often seemed filled with darkness and despair. It was a place where the lost could find their way, where the broken could be made whole, and where the human spirit could soar to new heights of joy and understanding. For the campground was more than just a physical place, more than just a collection of trees and trails and cabins. It was a testament to the enduring power of love, to the unbreakable bonds of community and connection that tie us all together. And as long as there were those who believed in its magic, who cherished its beauty and its wisdom, the campground would endure, a shining beacon of hope and healing in a world that so desperately needed it. Generations came and went, but the campground remained, a constant reminder of the goodness and the grace that lay at the heart of the human experience. And always, the spirits of the soldier and of Sarah watched over it, their love and their light guiding the way. In the end, the true legacy of the campground was not in the physical structures or the natural wonders that it contained. It was in the hearts and the minds of those who had been touched by its magic, those who had found solace and strength within its borders. For the campground had a way of revealing the best in people, of bringing out the kindness and the compassion that lay dormant within their souls. It was a place where the barriers of age and race and class could be broken down, where the common humanity that binds us all together could be celebrated and affirmed. And as the sun rose and set over the campground, as the seasons turned and the years passed, the spirit of the place endured, a testament to the enduring power of love and the unbreakable bonds of community. For in the end, the campground was a reminder of the simple truth that we are all connected, all part of the same great web of life. And in cherishing its beauty and its wisdom, in passing on its legacy to the generations to come, we honor the best in ourselves and in each other, and we keep the flame of hope and healing alive in a world that so desperately needs it. As the decades passed, the campground became more than just a summer getaway. It became a pilgrimage, a sacred journey that drew people from all walks of life. They came to walk the same paths that the soldier and Sarah had walked, to sit beneath the same trees and gaze out over the same shimmering lake. They came to find peace and solace, to reconnect with nature and with themselves. And always, they left with a renewed sense of purpose, a newfound appreciation for the simple joys and the profound truths that the campground had to offer. Among the many visitors to the campground was a young man named Ethan. Ethan was a veteran, haunted by the memories of war and the scars that it had left upon his soul. He had come to the campground seeking healing, hoping to find a way to make peace with his past and to build a new future for himself. As Ethan explored the campground, he found himself drawn to the old oak tree that stood as a monument to the soldier's legacy. He would sit beneath its branches for hours, lost in thought, feeling a strange and powerful connection to the man who had come before him. One day, as Ethan was sitting beneath the tree, he felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of presence, as if someone was there with him, watching over him and guiding him on his way. He closed his eyes and let the feeling wash over him, and in that moment, he knew that he was not alone, that he had never been alone. The spirit of the soldier was with him, and it would always be with him, no matter where his journey might take him. From that day forward, Ethan became a regular visitor to the campground, a guardian of its legacy and its wisdom. He started to work with other veterans, sharing with them the peace and the healing that he had found within its borders. And as the years went by, the campground became a beacon of hope for countless others who had been touched by the trauma of war. It was a place where they could come to find solace and support, to share their stories and their struggles, and to begin the long and difficult process of healing. For the campground had a way of bringing people together, of creating a sense of community and connection that transcended the boundaries of time and space. It was a place where the wounds of the past could be healed, where the broken pieces of the soul could be made whole once more. And always, the spirit of the soldier and of Sarah watched over the campground, their love and their wisdom guiding the way. They knew that the work of healing was never done, that there would always be those who needed the comfort and the care that the campground had to offer. But they also knew that the campground was more than just a place of healing. It was a place of hope, a reminder of the resilience and the strength of the human spirit. It was a testament to the power of love and compassion, to the idea that even in the darkest of times, there is always a light that guides the way. And so, as the years turned into centuries, the campground endured, a constant reminder of the goodness and the grace that lay at the heart of the human experience. It was a place where people could come to find themselves, to discover the true meaning and purpose of their lives. And always, the spirit of the soldier and of Sarah watched over it all, their love and their light shining down upon the generations that followed in their footsteps. They knew that the campground was more than just a physical place. It was a symbol of the enduring power of the human spirit, a beacon of hope and healing in a world that so often seemed filled with darkness and despair. And as long as there were those who believed in its magic, who cherished its beauty and its wisdom, the campground would endure, a shining testament to the unbreakable bonds of love and community that tie us all together. For in the end, the true legacy of the campground was not in the trees or the trails or the cabins that dotted its landscape. It was in the hearts and the minds of those who had been touched by its wonder, those who had found a home within its borders. And in cherishing that legacy, in passing it on to the generations yet to come, we keep the flame of hope and healing alive, and we honor the memory of all those who have come before us, all those who have made the campground the special and sacred place that it will always be. Years turned into decades, and decades into centuries, but the campground remained, a timeless testament to the enduring power of love and the human spirit. Generation after generation, people from all walks of life continued to make the pilgrimage to this sacred place, drawn by the promise of healing and renewal that it held. They came from far and wide, from the bustling cities and the quiet countryside, each seeking something different, yet all united by a common desire to connect with something greater than themselves. Some came to find peace and solace, others to seek adventure and excitement, but all left with a sense of belonging, a feeling of being part of something larger and more meaningful than their individual lives. Among the many visitors to the campground was a young woman named Olivia. Olivia was a writer, a dreamer, and a seeker of truth. She had come to the campground hoping to find inspiration for her next novel, a story that would capture the essence of this magical place and the people who called it home. As Olivia explored the campground, she found herself drawn to the stories and the legends that had grown up around it over the years. She heard tales of the soldier and of Sarah, of the countless lives that had been touched by their love and their wisdom, and she knew that she had found the heart of her story, the key to unlocking the mysteries of the campground. For weeks, Olivia wandered the trails and the forests, taking in the beauty and the wonder of this special place. She talked to the campers and the staff, listening to their stories and their memories, and slowly, a picture began to emerge of the campground and its place in the world. And as she wrote, Olivia began to understand the true power of the campground, the way in which it had become a symbol of hope and healing for so many. She saw how it had brought people together, creating a sense of community and connection that transcended the boundaries of time and space. In her novel, Olivia wove together the stories of the soldier and of Sarah, of Ethan and Lily and Jack, and of all the countless others who had found a home within the campground's borders. She captured the magic and the mystery of this special place, the way in which it had touched the lives of so many, and in doing so, she created a testament to the enduring power of love and the human spirit. And when her book was published, it quickly became a sensation, a beloved classic that was read and cherished by people all over the world. It inspired countless others to make the journey to the campground, to experience for themselves the wonder and the beauty that Olivia had captured in her words. For the campground had become more than just a physical place, more than just a collection of trees and trails and cabins. It had become a symbol of something larger, a reminder of the goodness and the grace that lay at the heart of the human experience. And as the years passed, the campground continued to evolve and change, adapting to the needs and the desires of each new generation. But always, at its core, it remained the same, a place of healing and renewal, a sanctuary for the soul. And always, the spirits of the soldier and of Sarah watched over it all, their love and their wisdom guiding the way. They knew that the campground would endure, a shining beacon of hope in a world that so often seemed filled with darkness and despair. For in the end, the true magic of the campground lay not in its physical beauty, but in the hearts and the minds of those who called it home. It was a place where people could come to find themselves, to discover the true meaning and purpose of their lives. And in cherishing that magic and passing it on to the generations yet to come, we keep the flame of hope and healing alive, and we'd honor the memory of all those who have come before us, all those who have made the campground the special and sacred place that it will always be. For the campground is more than just a place, more than just a story. It is a testament to the enduring power of love, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a light that guides the way. And as long as there are those who believe in its magic, who cherish its beauty and its wisdom, it will endure, a shining beacon of hope and healing, now and forever.